Good evening. My name is Julie King, and I am going to call to order the inaugural meeting of the Lake Mountain School District Board of Education. Thank you all for being here. I want to acknowledge in the room that we have family, friends, elected officials, employees, parents, and students. We are incredibly grateful for all of you for being here. We're going to start off on our agenda. We're going to invite Waverly. Waverly is going to come to the podium, and she is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you're good, Waverly. Okay, so come. Okay, we're all going to stand, and then Waverly is going to lead us.
Okay. Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Waverly. We appreciate you participating tonight. We love having our students here. Next up, we are going to turn time over to Board Member Strong, who is going to share an inspirational thought with us this evening.
Okay, let's just all take a moment and pause and think about this moment. It's historic, and we are all, I know all 7 of us are really excited to be here, and we are so thankful that you have all come to join us in having this time together. Think about what's got us here. 2 elections, just 2 elections. A lot of thought, listening, worry, ideas, uneasiness, anticipation, and it's here. We finally made it to November 25th, 2025. And it's an exciting time for us. And one thing I had not considered when I've gone to different city council meetings and board meetings is how well the board members know each other. You should know, we don't really know each other. We are learning to get to know each other. We just come from all different parts of the Lake Mountain District, and we're learning and growing together and finding out what our strengths are. Marsha Blackburn, who's the senator of Tennessee, once used TEAM as an acronym. And she said TEAM means together, everyone achieves more. And we are learning that about each other. We are learning our strengths and what we bring to the table. And as we put our strengths out and start working with each other, we are much greater as a team than we ever would be as individuals. And it's really fun to find that out about each other as we're working with each other. What we really want is to invite each of you, our community, our teachers, our staff, our parents, and all those. We want to invite you in as part of our team because everyone will achieve more as we do that. And we are all here for students. We want our students to soar. And as we all work together and do that, we know our students will soar. We want to be the envy of all the other districts and help us. We invite you to help us do that, and we're going to work on that together.
Thank you, Board Member Strong. Appreciate that. Next up, we have our swearing in of our board members, and we're really excited to invite our mayors to participate in this. Mayor Ashley I can't see Wyatt. Is he back there? No. Okay. So we're going to invite Mayor McKinney to come forward from the town of Fairfield, and she's going to swear in Julie Myers as a board member. Just wait there.
Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I, Julie Myers, have been elected to the office of the school board member.
I've been elected to the office of the school board member.
Do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
or affirm that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and obey the Constitution of the United States. Oh, I missed one.
Yeah.
That I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States
And the Constitution of the State of Utah.
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
And that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
Congratulations.
We now like to invite Mayor Westmoreland and all the board members who are residents of Eagle Mountain to come forward for their swearing in.
So repeat after me, except when I say state your name. All right. Okay, raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Jenny Felton,
Having been elected
having been elected
to the office of school board member,
to the office of school board member,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support,
that I will support,
obey,
obey,
and defend the Constitution of the United States
and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and that I will discharge the duties
and that I will discharge the duties
of my office with fidelity.
of my office with fidelity.
Congratulations.
We now like to invite Mayor Miller and then the residents of the board of Saratoga Springs for their swearing in.
Please raise your right arm and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Julie King,
Having been elected to the office of school board member,
having been elected to the office of school board member,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
and that I will discharge the office of my duties with fidelity.
And I will discharge the duties
I will discharge the duties
of my office with fidelity.
of my office with fidelity.
Okay, now we are going to do the election of our board leadership. I am opening the call for nominations for board president. Do we have any nominations?
I nominate Julie King.
Okay, so we have a nomination by board member Judkins. We don't need a second. Any other nominations? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Next up, we have the election of our board vice president. Do we have any nominations for board vice president? We're learning.
I nominate Matt Isaacson for the board vice president.
Okay, so we have a nomination for Matt Isaacson as vice president. Any other nominations? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That seems to pass unanimously. Yay, we got board leadership. Okay, Now we are going to move on to public hearings. We have 2 public hearings scheduled this evening, one regarding our fiscal year 26 budget and one regarding our board compensation. I need a motion to close the meeting. Do we have a motion to close the meeting?
The meeting. I move
Okay,
that we close the meeting for work session. No, sorry.
Okay, so we have a motion to close the meeting from Board Member Saucer. Do we have a second?
I second.
And then we have a second by Board Member Strong. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We're good. Yep. I do need to breathe. We need a motion to open the public hearing for fiscal year 26 budget. Do we have a motion?
I move that we open the meeting for the public hearing for the fiscal year 26 budget.
Do we have a second? I'll second it. Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I now declare the public hearing open for fiscal year 26 budget. We did not have anybody who signed up to participate in that. So now I declare the public hearing closed. I need a motion to open the public hearing about board member compensation. Do we have a motion to open the public hearing regarding board member compensation?
I motion that we open the public hearing for board compensation.
Second.
So we have a motion by Board Member Strong and a second by Board Member Saucer. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We have no comments regarding the public hearing, so I declare the public hearing closed. And we will now reopen the board meeting. Thank you for being on that journey with us. Okay, so we are going to move now on to our fiscal year 26 budget. We have several action items on our agenda. So want to make sure that everyone, are we putting these up on the screen by chance or no? Okay. So just a point of clarification so everyone's understanding where we're coming from. We are allotted $60 per student. That comes in January 1 of 2026 and then again in January 1 of 2027. That fiscal year ends for us, so we will get an allocation on January 1 of 2026. And our fiscal year ends June 30th of 2026. So basically we're passing a budget from now until June 30th of 2026. It's roughly $1.5 million. About $750,000 of it has been allotted. It will cover things like salaries and benefits, the first payments on the purchase of our district office. Going back to my notes to find it so I can give you guys more clarity. It also covers board expenses for training, communications and marketing, general expenditures. So essentially the expenditures that we need to get our district launched for the first 6 months. Are there any discussion points regarding the proposed budget from, actually I need to call for a motion. Do we have a motion regarding the fiscal year 26 budget? I move that we approve the fiscal year 26 school district proposed budget. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Board Member King and a second by Board Member Isaacson. Any discussion?
Madam President, can you explain how we got to these numbers to help everyone understand where we're at?
Sure, I'm happy to share. So we're not going to have employees really. The board that you see sitting in front of you is really the employees of the district until July 1 of 2026. We are setting aside some money for a superintendent and business administrator. We anticipate their starting date will be July 1 of 26, but we may require that those individuals that we develop either a stipend or a short-term contract for them to serve anywhere from 10 to 15 hours a week to assist the board until they are fully salaried and sworn in July 1. Capital expenses, we'll be talking about this later in the agenda with a resolution, but the building that we're sitting in, we are anticipating purchasing, and we need to make the first payment. There also might need to be some renovations that we do with the building, so that's associated with the capital expenses. The board expenses include things like salary training at the Utah School Boards Association so that the boards are fully trained and ready to go, that we understand things like OPMA, GRAMMA, that we're following code under all circumstances. Communications and marketing, we will need to develop logos, websites, all those kind of things. We'll need to make sure we secure potentially trademarks, copyrights. And then general expenditures is open because we don't know what we don't know. And so we wanted a little bit of a flexibility in case things came up regarding that. So that's kind of everything in a nutshell. We've have a motion and a second. I'm just trying to make sure that no one else is missing the opportunity to discuss. Okay. So we have a motion by Board Member King and a second by Board Member Isaacson to adopt the fiscal year 26 budget. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That appears to pass unanimously. Next up, we have compensation for board members. Vice President Isaacson. I was the first one to call you that. We would love to hear your thoughts about board member compensation.
I'd like to give just a little bit of context. It'll be one of the first things we do as a board, and the reason it's prioritized this early is actually in state code. We have to pass a policy and adopt a framework for this compensation model. But a little additional context, I think, was really helpful through the process of the election and campaigning and the whole process of discussing this district split. There was some really common values and shared values that came out through these discussions. And we want to reflect those values in this one of these first things that we put forward. One of those is being data-driven, being fiscally responsible, and being really transparent to the public. So rather than just pull a number out of the air, we looked to what other districts were doing. And we wanted to create a compensation policy that was informed by what others do and make sure that it's fair. We looked at some statistical analyses trying to find some correlation between, say, student body population or geographic size, geographic region or socioeconomic details, any number of a few different metrics associated with board pay. And what we found was we couldn't correlate anything. The takeaway there is that every district does their best to try and pick a fair compensation, and they all kind of come up with a different number. But again, valuing that transparency, fairness, and data-driven values, we wanted to take it one step further. So we looked at, created a peer group, a selection of 7 districts in Utah that were similar in size to the new Lake Mountain School District. And we could have just taken those 7 as like districts and just averaged the pay board across those 7. But we took it one step further and instead made it scalable over time. So the pay for the board divided by the student population of each district and then averaged for those 7 districts serve as a rate that can be then scaled over time. And so this is both an average for a fair number and one that doesn't require, say, constant revision over time for us in the future. The correlation that we're making is that an inherently smaller district, and by the way, most school districts in Utah are shrinking over time. We're in a population decrease for students. And so, inherently a smaller district is less complex and requires less work. It's not a one-to-one relationship, of course, but a very large district is more work and more complex. And so this model scales both up and down over time based on student population. And finally, there's kind of 2 options in front of us. Option A is that we adopt this model, a per student based average peer group informed salary framework with full additional benefits that are virtually universal across districts in Utah. And then that would start right now. And then option B is a transitional model that allows us to delay the implementation of this model until July 1st of 2027 when we have access to our full budget and the district takes over fully. The cost of each is pretty significant in their differences. The option A, in immediate implementation, is about almost 14% of the total budget that we have during this transitional period. Whereas option B, which is delayed, a delay of benefits and accepting the stipend from Alpine District as the interim model, this is less than half the cost for the total budget at less than 6%. It represents a commitment to fiscal responsibility and just giving us a lot more access to the funds that we need desperately during that transitional time.
Thank you. I will entertain a motion regarding board member compensation, whether we select option A or option B. Do we have a motion?
I move that we accept option B.
Okay, so we have a motion by board member Saucer and a second by board member Myers regarding selecting option B. Any discussion?
Madam President,
Yes.
I want to thank Board Member Isaacson for his work on this. I know we spent a lot of time comparing the models, and I like the fiscal responsibility of this plan and just make it just straightforward and make it easy for those in charge of allocating the funds as well. So thank you.
Any other discussion?
Madam President, I just wish to agree that I believe that it's most fiscally responsible in the starting phase that we take the approach where we are doing what is best for the whole of the district financially, and that would be the wisest approach.
Any other thoughts from board members? Okay, seeing none, we have a motion by board member Saucer and a second by board member Myers to accept option B for our board member compensation. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that looks to pass unanimously. Next up, we're going to turn the time over for the next three policies to board member Lincoln to explain the policies on our agenda this evening.
So I'm kind of excited. I'm a policy geek. So this is like really cool spot for me to be. The first policy is our board meeting policy. It is included in the agenda packet, and I don't know if we've got it. Okay, they're looking for it right now. I'm very excited for the format of this policy and the format of the policies going forward. A couple things to note about this policy is it's going to allow transparency of our board, but it also has some metrics in it that we can come back and revisit this policy on an annual basis when we do the open meeting law training. And then it also says what a successful implementation of this policy looks like. So the public can then start to hold us accountable. So if you look at the beginning, we've got the policy and the statement, and then we have definitions. And then they're gonna keep scrolling. Then we actually have the scope who it refers to. You can trace everything down in the code. We have the policy provisions or the policy itself. Then procedures on how we'll handle that, including public comment, which we will allow at every board meeting. You'll need to sign up, and we'll take the first 10 people that sign up, and then we'll take written comment after that. And then if you keep scrolling, it tells us that we're going to use Robert's rules and formality. We're going to learn as a team. It may take us a little bit, especially with the fancy microphones. And then keep going. We've got closed meetings when closed meeting is a way for the board to deal with an agenda item that involves, if we discussed it in public, it could become problematic. For instance, if we're discussing the safety implementations of a school or an evacuation plan, we wouldn't want that in an open public meeting where everybody can read how we're going to evacuate a building. Keep scrolling. We have an electronic participation, so board members can join remotely. Our meetings are also streamed, will be streamed. We're getting that worked out as well. But a video will be posted and people can watch at their leisure if they have insomnia or something. And then we have an effectiveness. This is the part I was telling you about, I was super excited about. So you know when the policy is effective, what the evaluation of that standard is, and then how we're holding ourselves accountable, and then how often we'll review it, and then any attached forms. So that is the policy format, and I'm going to make the first motion because I'm super excited. I move that we adopt policy 1301, board meetings.
So we have a motion by Board Member Lincoln. Do we have a second?
I second it.
Thank you, Board Member Strong. Okay, so we have a motion by Board Member Lincoln and a second by Board Member Strong. Do we have any discussion?
Oh, yep. Just a thanks to Board Member Lincoln for her work on this. It represents a pretty significant evolution in how the policies are put together. It seems like administrative, clerical type things, but there's an incredible amount of thought that went into the strategy and actual implementation on how these work. And it has actual impacts on the way the district is administered downstream. So she may or may not have admitted to an all-nighter in the process of putting this together, and thanks for that.
I also want to express my gratitude to Board Member Lincoln. I think this is genius, the way that it is. There's a history associated with it. It's adopted, revised, reviewed. There's a measurement associated with how effective the policy is. There's a way that we hold ourselves accountable as a board as to whether or not we are meeting the policy. And I appreciate the level of transparency and accountability. And I think it's one of the things that we've talked about specifically as board members. And I think that that model starts at the top. And so I'm incredibly grateful for Board Member Lincoln that she was willing to spend time to create this, which I think is phenomenal.
President, I just have one question. I like the engagement piece of the public. The one thing that troubles me a little bit is that we're just limited to 10 speakers, but I do like the part that says that the board president may adjust time and speaker count. So I'm just asking the future for deference if we do have a significant issue and significant amount of people in attendance that want to speak, that we acknowledge them and let the time be adjusted appropriately. Because I don't want to limit them as much as we can, whether it's grouping people together and having a couple of public speakers on a certain topic or whatever. I want to make sure that the public can engage as much as possible with the board.
Thanks for that feedback. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, we have a motion by Board Member Lincoln and a second by Board Member Strong to approve policy 1301 regarding board meetings. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that appears to pass unanimously. Board Member Lincoln.
So the next two policies are essentially the same policy, but having no crystal ball to know which way the board would go on compensation, I drafted the policy both ways. So I move that we don't have to take action if we're not going to use a policy, right?
No, we just move on.
So I suggest that we move on from item number 4. And on item number 5, policy 1302, board compensation, the transitional model. This clearly lays out and defines what that transitional period is going to look like for the next 18 months, and the compensation matches what was approved on item number 2.
That was a motion, right? Oh. Okay, so I'll entertain a motion regarding policy 1302, board compensation policy, the transitional model.
I move that we adopt policy number 1302, board compensation model.
Okay, so we have a motion by Vice President Isaacson and a second by Board Member Saucer. Have any discussion? No. Okay, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that appears to pass unanimously. Next up, we have Resolution 2025-001. We referenced this earlier in the meeting. This is the contract for us to lease to own and purchase the building that we are currently sitting in. It happened to be kind of perfect timing that Saratoga Springs had a new city office under construction, and they were vacating almost identically at the time that we were looking for a district office. So the stars definitely aligned for this one. Just want to, I know that we have city council members here, the mayor, city manager. I just want to express my gratitude. The way that the city has worked with us to lay this out as far as the payment schedule is indicative of the fact that they know that we are going to be a little strapped for cash in the beginning. And I appreciate the city's willingness to work with us so that we can make sure that the funds that we have set aside for our students, as many of those funds are going to the classroom. And so I just want to express my gratitude publicly to the city for being willing to work with us and navigate this contract. So I just want to express that. Do we have a motion regarding Resolution 2025-001, the contract for lease to own the facility at 1307 North Commerce Drive in Saratoga Springs?
I move that we pass Resolution 2025-001, contracts for lease to own facility at 1307 North Commerce Drive.
And do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Board Member Strong and a second by Board Member Judkins. Any discussion?
I love that we got this building and that we have a home and that we have a place. And thank you to Saratoga Springs for working with us and making that possible for us.
I too want to just express my gratitude to the city of Saratoga Springs, to their council staff and their mayor for just approaching us and working with us to make this a feasible opportunity for the students in Saratoga Springs, or I'm sorry, for the students in the Lake Mountain School District.
Just piggybacking on those thoughts. I've spent a lot of time in real estate professionally. I spent some time looking over the contract, and that really was of interest to me. And it was really apparent that it was a very strong collaborative effort in providing for this new district, for the students and for our teachers and staff, and making sure that we're going to get started off on the right foot. It was really readily apparent that it was, again, a really great collaborative effort. So I'm really impressed, and a great big thank you to everybody involved in that.
Can you clarify for us just how dramatic the first couple of payments are reduced? That they can publicly, we can acknowledge that the level of effort that they're collaborating with.
Yes. So we are doing interest-only payments for the first 4 years or 5 years, essentially, 5 years of owning this 4 years. First 4 years. First 4 years of owning the building, we are essentially only making interest-only payments, which is very, very generous of Saratoga to do, to make sure that there is a space for us to be able to conduct the work we need to do as a school district. One of the things when we were discussing Prop 14 was we didn't have additional facilities on the west side, with the exception of Transportation West. We don't have additional facilities. We don't have alternative learning center. We don't have warehouse purchasing. We didn't have a district office. And there was significant concern about the amount of capital that we would have to spend at the beginning very quickly to acquire all of those. And because of this collaboration with the city, we were able, for a very generous offer, to be able to have a space almost immediately. And so I think it speaks to the level of collaboration we have in this new district with our city officials, that this is something we were able to reach and that they were able to work with us to make this a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, see.
We get the microphones too.
Yes, they're leaving the microphones. Mark is shaking his head yes, we keep the microphones, so. Okay, so we have a motion by Board Member Strong and a second by Board Member Judkins to approve Resolution 2025-01, the contract for the lease-to-own facility at 1307 North Commerce Drive in Saratoga Springs. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That appears to pass unanimously. We are now moving to the discussion/action items on the agenda. Any of these items can be moved to an action item or they can be kept solely as discussion. So our first item up is a presentation about the boundary study. Our area is currently undergoing 2 boundary studies that involve a lot of our elementary schools, I think 11. Blackridge is the one who gets to be in them twice. So we're going to talk a little bit about the process, the timeline regarding the new elementary. Each of our elementaries is given a number by the state when construction starts. So the Briley Farm School has been referred to as School 133. One of the boundary study we're going to talk about today also includes the potential closure of Cedar Valley Elementary. And if that is approved, that would occur in the fall, be closed for the fall of 2026. Yes. Oh, that's dangerous. Thanks. I'm actually gonna give it to Joylyn because Joylyn I can't do too many things at once. Okay, so just to make everyone aware of the process and the timeline, we opened a formal study Alpine School District did in August, and notification was sent to families of all the affected schools that could be impacted. In September, committee meetings were held. This is where we have initial boundary ideas are discussed. Usually, it's not uncommon, anywhere from 7 to 9 ideas. It's usually reduced to 3 or 4. Further in September, we post those options online. That's where we solicit feedback. A feedback form is posted in September through November. That's been up through these past 3 months. Patrons are able to provide feedback through that online forum. We also held a public hearing on September 23rd at the Alpine School District office and held 2 open houses regarding this, one at Cedar Valley Elementary School and another one at Desert Sky, where we could get in-person input and then additional input through the online portal. There was a committee meeting in November where a final boundary recommendation was determined after public comments, and then is anticipated that Alpine School District will make a decision on their board meeting on December 9th. Just so that you're aware of some of the things that are considered. Oh, and I also wanted to state something that was different that was done with this boundary study that hasn't been done previously, is that there were also faculty interviews that were held. This is the first time. Every time a boundary study is done, we try to improve the process. And so this time we were able to conduct interviews with faculty members and to better understand their feedback regarding the potential boundaries that were being considered. So the criteria that is considered are things like impacts on educational programs and outcomes, school capacity utilization over time, as well as enrollment trends, proximity to other schools, keeping neighborhoods and communities together, and then impacts on education. So there were multiple boundary options considered. You can see the schools. In all the options that you see, there are no changes to Blackridge or Hidden Hollow in the options presented. Blackridge is in another study and potentially will have a change in their numbers with that boundary study. So option A maintains Cedar Valley Elementary staying open. It shows Desert Sky significantly declining, basically almost cutting their enrollment in half. The new elementary Mountain Trails would both start in the 700s, but grow very quickly, particularly the Mountain Trails area because of the Firefly area. And then Eagle Valley would be over 1,000. So there was strong community support for keeping Cedar Valley open. We have good enrollment at most of our schools, and it consolidates most of the growth at Mountain Trails. There's an argument to be made as to whether or not you keep the growth centered in one school and then put a lot of resources into that school versus having multiple schools hitting a very high number. Some of the disadvantages, there is some concern about unstable class sizes at Cedar Valley, that with growth, there is an inevitability about split grade classes. It's very common when we have schools in the 200 to 300 range to have that level of split grades. It limits the growth at Cedar Valley because of limitations with the building. We reached out to state security officers, and because of bills that have been passed, HB 84 and HB 40, regarding school safety, we would not be able to put satellites or portables on the secondary parking lot located at the school. So there's some limitations with that. Cedar Valley does require subsidization. And because there's only one grade level currently, they do have a level of vertical alignment. There is not grade level collaboration that's occurring. There are potential constraints on the future boundaries and staffing. And then obviously Mountain Trails would get high very quickly, and the concern about Desert Sky essentially being cut in half very quickly. Option B shows the closure of Cedar Valley Elementary School. Once again, Black Ridge and Hidden Hollow stay the same. There are additional students that are brought into Desert Sky, which keeps them in the 700 range. Eagle Valley stays the same in this one. And then the enrollment is split between the new elementary school 133 and Mountain Trails. One of the concerns with this is obviously the growth in Mountain Trails and how that would go. Some of the advantages, right? Stable enrollment. The growth does stay at Mountain Trails, so we could potentially focus all of our resources there. A future split would only impact one school. It would largely impact Mountain Trails. Most of the Cedar Valley school students would be able to move together, and it would potentially help. They would be able to participate in creating a new school culture. One of the things that I've heard repeatedly from faculty and from parents is that if the school is going to be closed, they would like to move as a group, the faculty as well as the students, and that their preference is that they move to a new school, not an existing school. The concern is that instead of moving to an existing school where maybe they would just add to the enrollment growth, that instead, if they went to a new school, they'd be able to help create the culture in that new school and be a full participant and not be seen as an added burden. Option C is the next one. This one has 4 schools with stable enrollment. It's a little bit more divided. Once again, it's the closure of Cedar Valley. It puts these students in the new elementary. Firefly would also go into this new elementary. It means that both the new elementary and Mountain Trails would be pushing 1,300 or above by 2029, so that you have 2 schools that have significantly high enrollment. And that means the resources that would be applied would potentially need to be split, and that we would potentially need satellites at both of those schools. We currently do not have any satellites available, and the new cost for each of those is about $3.5 million, just as a point of reference. Next up, we have option B. So the recommendation that came forward is to actually adjust the Eagle Point condos and townhomes, allow them to stay at Mountain Trails. That would take Eagle Valley, this is an option B2, it would take Eagle Valley down to 900. Still very high for them, but under the 1,000 mark. Eagle Valley is a different design. It's one that we have not replicated anywhere else in Lake Mountain School District. There's some interesting cutouts, interesting spaces. Eagle Valley, this is a fun little historical fact, when it was built, the school board at the time thought no one would move there. And so the school was built very, very small. And then wings got added, and then wings got added again. So we want to be careful and cautious when we're developing this. This one would still push Mountain Trails above a number. It would be very high, but once again, the idea that potentially a satellite is brought in and some resources to that school. I wanted to bring up also a couple of things. One of the things that's a little bit unknown is we always go with our best projections. We know that there's significant growth coming, particularly in the Firefly development. There are also at least 2 charter schools that intend to open in the fall of 2027. And when charters come in, they impact our schools, and both of those charters have indicated they'll be opening in the fall of 27, and I think are kind of down the pathway with the state charter board to get that granted. So with the opening potentially of 2 charter schools, that also impacts and would most likely bring the Briley Farms, as well as Mountain Trails, and even some of the Desert Sky and Eagle Valley numbers down because of the impact of both of those schools opening. And I think there's at least 1 other charter in the works. So we have 3 or 4 charters. We always base this on what we know versus what could be, but we do know that 2 of those charters are slated to open in the fall of 27. Next steps, basically, we will vote as to whether or not on the closure of Cedar Valley Elementary. ASD will vote on the proposed closure and a final boundary adjustment. And then if the closure does occur, families are notified. And then if that's something that's approved, this Cedar Valley would be closed for the next school year. Dr. Perkins, is there anything that you wanted to bring forward about the boundary study that you feel wasn't covered? Okay. I'm not anticipating that we're casting any vote tonight, but I wasn't sure if there were other discussions related to the boundary study that individuals of the board had.
Madam President, one question. In the committee studies, has there been any demographic studies to see how it would change the composition? Particularly, I'm looking at Eagle Valley and Mountain Trails, because that's a concern that I've had.
We did look at it. We looked at farms data as well as IEPs, language. Those specifically are the ones that we were looking at. Mountain Trails is currently the only school in our new district that qualifies for Title I. One of the things that gets complicated with Title I is you have to have 40% of your population that's on free and reduced meals. And as Mountain Trails grows, even though there may be a high level of poverty, it's very likely that that number will significantly drop. This does show the Section 8 housing that is located in Eagle Mountain shifting to Eagle Valley. Both of those schools have a high amount of low socioeconomic status. It is more likely, this is my theory, it's more likely that Eagle Valley would qualify and maintain a Title I status, while I think that Mountain Trails could potentially go up and down and kind of seesaw because of the new growth coming in and how that would potentially align. The other reason to consider Mountain Trails getting larger is that the majority of the growth between Firefly, Harmony, and Parkway Fields would all be very much centered at Mountain Trails. So instead of divvying up multiple school communities again and again, it would be maybe easier to bring in, like, let's say, for example, a school built in the Harmony development, then you were able to move the students in Harmony, and that the core students in Mountain Trails would not be switched again and again and again.
My only concern is if we are shifting a lot of that population, that we make sure there's collaboration between the community support workers and the resources, so that if those families are moved, they will still have those supports in place and be prepared for a change. Because that can be a huge change for anyone, but for those that need extra help, I want to make sure they can find the help that they need.
Thank you for that.
Do we have any idea where the charter is going to be built?
Neither one of I am unaware of either charter having purchased property, but both of them put in their charter application they intended to be in Saratoga Springs or Eagle Mountain. With the significant amount of units approved in Firefly, I would suspect that they're probably looking in that area.
There we go. Would option C, the construction of a new charter school that's open between 26 and 29, where these projections are based, does the charter more likely pull from the larger geographic area rather than a specific boundary?
Yes, generally they would, depending on the location. For example, John Hancock, which opened a couple of years ago, they're pretty much pushed up against a mountainside, but they have, I think they have close to 1,000 students in their charter, and so they do pull from other areas. Yes.
And just to clarify on that, those applications go before the state's charter school board in January for final approval. They've been given preliminary approval at this point.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Okay, we're going to move on to the next. Oh,
Can you just clarify the timeline one more time? I know I've had a lot of questions regarding when our board will make the decision on Cedar Valley Elementary and how that plays into place with the Alpine Board. If I understand, our school board does not make the boundary decisions, but we make the decision about Cedar Valley Elementary. But if you can just clarify that, that'd be great.
yeah, so the anticipation is that ASD, the way that it's set up in SB 188, if there's a school closure, if there is a sale of a property, and it happens after the school board is elected, we have to consent to the arrangement. So the most likely scenario is that we still need to approve our meeting calendar, but if we meet on December 3rd, a vote would be taken at that time. ASD would vote on December 9th. Any other discussion?
Yeah, I have one question.
Yes.
Is it possible? Is it possible that we would vote one way and Alpine School District would vote a different way?
So basically the votes have to be taken in concurrence, meaning we both have to agree. So let's say, for example, that we say, no, we're not going to close Cedar Valley Elementary. ASD can't do it without our consent. And there's multiple things like the sale of property, the closure of a school that have to be done, and both the votes have to be the same. And basically any no vote, meaning if one board votes no, it's a no, if that makes sense. Okay. Okay, moving on to the next item on the agenda. We need to set our board meeting schedule for 2025, 2026. I know you guys are very excited that there were 6 options. Yay for variety. So calendar meeting 1 allows first and third Monday meetings. We could potentially start at 4 for the study session, 6 for the board meeting. We could adjust that accordingly. The location would be held at the Saratoga Springs City offices, the building that we intend to purchase that we're located in currently. The second option is second and fourth Mondays. Third option is first and third Wednesdays, which I don't recommend because of the conflict with MTech, which is one of our longstanding partners. Option 4 allows meetings on Wednesdays on the second and fourth. Option 5 is first and third Thursdays. And option 6 is second and fourth Thursdays. That was a lot of options. Basically, we eliminated Tuesday because that's when ASD meets, so Board Member Lincoln and I would have a conflict. The other thing is that our municipalities generally off of us on those Tuesdays. So for us to be able to attend potentially city and town council meetings, we wanted to keep that option open for the board members. Okay, so do we have a motion regarding the board meeting schedule for 2025 and 2026?
I move that we accept option 2.
So we have a motion by Board Member Saucer to accept calendar option 2, which would be the second and fourth Mondays. Do we have a second? So if we don't get a second, the motion fails, which is fine, but then I need someone to make a different motion because we need to resolve this.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a second by, I'm trying to guide everyone. We have a second by Vice President Isaacson. Okay, Board Member Saucer, would you like to open the discussion?
Thank you. In looking at the options, it's hard to pick a good time for anyone. There's always going to be conflicts. But in looking at Mondays, in regards of how many meetings we'd have to change, looking in the other schedule, this one I think had the least amount of options, as well as looking at events in schools. There usually aren't that many events on Monday nights, would allow us to attend plays and sporting events that happen on like Wednesdays and Thursday nights. So that's the reason rationale for this.
Any other discussion?
There's about a million options here, so remind me how meeting on the second and fourth Mondays relates to the ASD board meetings?
ASD meets on the second and fourth Tuesdays, so we would meet the day before they meet.
Does anyone consider it an advantage to meet after they meet rather than before?
In the pros and cons outlined in the calendar, one of the negatives of meeting on a Wednesday after the ASD meeting is we can't adjust to anything they did in a meeting because it's less than 24 hours. And so we can't really, like if ASD does something we need to respond to, we won't be able to meet the 24-hour deadline required by OPMA. If we meet on a second or fourth Thursday, we would be able to meet that deadline. So there is something to be said about that. Could potentially be seen as an advantage, or it could be seen as a disadvantage depending on how you look at it.
I'm concerned that if we go with option 2 on that second and fourth Monday, that's the furthest distance you can possibly get away from an Alpine School District meeting. So it would put us reactionary by almost 2 weeks on any decision they make.
In theory, what's the practical application there? Can you give me an example of what a response would be required by something that ASD did?
Oh, you're asking me.
I'm asking
Okay.
whoever would know more than I do.
Let's say that, that's a really good one, Matt. Now you put me on the spot. Let's say that Alpine puts forward a policy, and whether we love the policy or we hate the policy, Joylyn runs it through her new genius idea, and we're able to tweak it and have it be in a better space. That's a possibility. It could be that ASD takes an action that impacts us regarding budget that maybe we need to agree upon. It could be that ASD, I'll just give you an example of one that's going to come up, I think, relatively quickly, is we surplus buses relatively normally. And the way that the code is written is if the discretionary item is located within that district, they have to agree to the disposal. So for example, we have multiple buses. We kind of refer to it as the boneyard. It's buses that basically aren't running. Some of them haven't run for 3 years. They haven't, it's going to cost $30,000 to fix the bus. It's not worth us investing in it. And so they may say, we want to surplus these buses. But because those discretionary assets are located at the Lake Mountain School District Transportation West site, they can't dispose of those buses. So if they want to dispose of the buses and they say, we're going to do this, they need our permission because it is an asset located within our district. And if we wanted to say, yes, we actually don't want to pay for storing and whatever of those buses, that's an example of like an action they may take that they need, once again, concurrence or consent from us to move forward on. Yes, board member Strong.
Do we have the ability to come in July of 2027 and change it and maybe move over to Tuesdays or something? How far are we setting ourselves into?
We generally set our schedule for the next calendar year. So obviously we need to finish out this calendar year, set it for 2026. This is not committing us past December of 2026. So for example, if we wanted to say, like, let's say next year we go to approve a calendar for the first part of 26, maybe we're meeting on one day. And then once ASD is dissolved, we decide to switch back to second and fourth Tuesdays and assume what ASD was taking. So that's an option as well. But it's one of the requirements in code that we do determine a meeting time and location and a calendar so that we can communicate to the public very clearly so that they can be able to attend and give feedback as patrons.
So what this vote means is 2026.
Yes, and if it's open, I would also add the addition of December meetings because there's a couple that we've previously talked about and scheduled that are not on this calendar. So for example, we've talked about December 3rd at 6 p.m. being a board meeting, but needing to be held at the Eagle Mountain City Council chambers. The city is moving out of this building, and over the next month, we want to not be underfoot and give them the space to do that. Another meeting, which is on the calendar options, which shows our board field trip where we're going to go visit every school in the district. It shows a December 6th training. We would also want to add December 15th at 6 p.m. for another board meeting at the Eagle Mountain City Council chambers. And then we have scheduled December 17th from noon to 3, a work session at the Eagle Mountain City Council chambers. So I would encourage that we add those to whatever option we select. And that there will be a noted location change for the month of December while the city is vacating this building.
So what this is December 25 and the calendar year 2026.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I just was gonna say, I'm not in favor of the Monday night. I think that's really difficult to do 2 board meetings back to back. I think a spacing of a Tuesday, Thursday even feels a lot more breathable. So if the option on the table is for the Monday and then the following Tuesday, I have another board to attend, I will be voting no.
Okay. Any other discussion?
I believe there is power in knowing what Alpine School District and when we do and don't meet before or after. And I am a little worried that that Alpine will meet and then we'll be another 2 weeks before we're meeting and then they have a whole nother meeting. So that one worries me a little bit on that.
Valid concern. Okay, so I think I'm gonna call a vote because I think we've had discussion. So we have a motion by Board Member Saucer and a second by Vice President Isaacson to accept option 2 on the calendars. Are you both amenable to the additional board meetings that I mentioned previously that are not on the calendar, those being added to that, the December 3rd, 15th, and 17th meetings to be added as well? Okay, great. Okay, all in favor of the motion to approve option 2, please say aye.
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 Okay, all opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
Okay, I think that was a failure of 2-5, if I got that right. Okay, so still need to resolve this. So would anyone like to make a motion as to adopting a calendar?
I'll make a motion that we adopt option 6.
Okay, so we have a motion from Board Member Strong to adopt option 6. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, and we have a second by Board Member Lincoln. Board Member Strong, would you like to comment on the option?
Yes, I would. So obviously we'll add the 2025 to that, like we talked about. I just really like the idea of going to the Alpine School District, listening to what's going on, and meeting 2 days later and discussing anything that we have to piggyback on them. Thursdays are a conflict for like some concerts or ball games or that sort of thing. So that is concerning. But I feel like if we have the year in advance, we can put that in our schedules and work around it.
Any other discussion? Okay, so we have a motion by Board Member Strong and a second by Board Member Lincoln to adopt option 6 with the previous December meetings we mentioned on the 3rd, the 15th, and the 17th, with the 3rd and the 15th being board meetings and the 17th being a work session. all of those meetings being located at the Eagle Mountain City Council chambers. Yes, Board Member Saucer.
I know there are a lot of dates that are optional in the schedule with being on Christmas Eve, Thanksgiving, spring break. Are we going to be adopting the dates suggested there, or will we decide those as they come ahead?
That is up to Board Member Strong to determine if she wants to. So I would suggest, for example, December 11th and 25th, we ignore because we're talking about already having meetings on the 3rd, the 15th, and the 17th. So I would argue we could kind of ignore those. USBA, we have that conflict. We could choose to hold a meeting on the 22nd. We could also choose to hold an additional one on the 29th if we so chose. And then there is a conflict on the 9th. We could choose not to hold a meeting, 2 meetings that month, or to hold them on the 16th and 30th. And then conflicts potentially on Thanksgiving and Christmas, we could move those to the 19th and the 17th. So Board Member Strong, do you have thoughts about?
You didn't tell me that one.
I'm sorry. Do you want to go down each
I
of them?
would like to add to my motion that we use the dates that are suggested there, except for in January, it's not clear. So let's say we do it the 27th. I don't know what that means. Do the January 8th and the 29th, basically, because the 22nd, no, the 8th is a conflict.
Yeah, so the 8th is a conflict because I think we'll all be at USBA. We could do it on the 22nd. That one's still fine. And we could also do the 29th as well if you wanted, or we could just hold one meeting in January.
Oh. Can we always add another meeting if we have to?
We can. Here's my official advice. It's easier to cancel a meeting than to create a meeting. So if we want to just say like, hey, let's make sure we have 2 meetings a month and that's our rule, we can make that work, and then we can cancel a meeting if it's unnecessary, but it's generally easier to get it on the calendar and then say, kidding, we're not having one.
Okay, I would say, is there a reason we can't do the 15th and the 29th?
There's not.
Okay, so part of my motion will be for January, we do the 15th and the 29th. For April, spring break is a problem. And so the 9th is the middle of spring break. So we would move.
Do you want to do the 16th and the 30th?
So do the 16th and the 30th. Everybody else, and then with Thanksgiving, do
the 12th and the 19th?
Yeah, did we take into consideration like there's 5? So if we're meeting October 8th, we could totally do October 29th, throw a second one in October, and then November 19th, 12th. Can we not do 12th?
So just to clarify,
be keeping track of this.
I'm writing it down.
Okay.
I'm writing it down, and Bree's writing it down.
Because October has 5 Thursdays, I think we can take into effect
We could also choose not to have 3 meetings that month, Eileen.
Okay.
I mean, if you want to have 3, we can do that.
22, November 5, and November 19. Is that what you're saying?
We could do the 5th and 19th, just know that the 5th is going to be election day.
No, because it's Thursday.
Oh, yeah, it is, not a Tuesday. Sorry. I'm sorry. My brain of like, you can't do it on the first Tuesday.
No.
Okay, sorry.
And then the
December
3rd and the 17th.
Okay, so this is the motion I've got from you, Eileen. I'm going to read it back to you, okay?
I didn't know I was getting into this.
That you want to approve calendar 6 with the addition of the meetings December 3rd, 15th, 17th in Eagle Mountain City Council chambers.
Yeah.
That the meetings in January will be on the 15th and the 29th, April the 16th and the 30th, November the 12th and the 19th, November the 5th and the 19th, December the 3rd and the 17th.
Yes. Thank you for keeping track of that. I wasn't writing it down.
Okay, so we have a very long motion by Board Member Strong and a second motion by Board Member Lincoln. Yes.
I anticipate we're going to be having more than 2 meetings a month in looking at our future agenda. So I think we're gonna have plenty of meetings going on in the future. Just saying, I mean, we're probably gonna have more dates that we're gonna
I
add
think we will.
sessions and plans for the superintendent and
I agree. I think
a lot more coming forward.
yes, I think we'll be adding work sessions, closed sessions. I agree with you, Board Member Saucer, that this will be the initial calendar, but we will probably amend it once we schedule interviews and work sessions fully. Okay, so that very, very long motion was made by Board Member Strong and seconded by Board Member Lincoln. Do we have any more discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, the motion to approve option 6 with all of the amendments, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, I think that was the hardest thing we've done so far. Okay, great. Next up on the agenda, we are talking about the school calendars for the 27-28 school year, the 28-29 school year, and the 29-30 school year. I'm grateful that Dr. Perkins is here because I believed he ran the calendar committee. On the second page after the calendars, it shows the survey feedback that came, as well as the decisions, why these calendars were selected. One of the things that we specifically heard from employees after the split was a concern about being able to collaborate with team members across multiple districts. And so ASD created calendars for the 3 school years post-split to allow new boards, if they chose, to adopt the same calendar so that collaboration could still occur. Just to give you a sense, for our secondary schools, 60% of our employees are what we refer to as singletons, meaning they are the only individual in the building who teaches that subject. So for example, if you're the AP Mandarin teacher, you're probably the only AP Mandarin teacher in the building, and you want to be able to collaborate with your colleagues in other schools and have a level of professional development. This aligns the professional development days, the breaks. Another concern we heard from employees is if my children attend in one district and I work in a different district, we'd like to align our vacation schedules, our holiday breaks. This calendar is reflective of that. We obviously cannot choose what Aspen Peaks and what Timpanogos will choose to do. But we can choose to adopt this calendar. There are some norms that stand out, some consistencies that we try to put in place based on feedback from employees as well as parents. Things like we try to avoid a 5-day first week of school. Kindergartners and 7th graders, sometimes that adjustment from being at home to being in kindergarten or being in elementary school to going to AB schedules can be a little rough. And so we like to keep that first week, not a full 5-day week. They were paying attention to when the terms ended to balance out A days and B days for secondary. And then the survey results always come back that people really want a full 2 weeks for winter break over 3 weekends, that they would like school to end before Memorial Day, get a full week for spring break. They want to start late as possible in August. And then they want to have terms and semesters as equal and possible with the A days, B days. Another thing to be aware of that we need to end school generally before Memorial Day has to do with an impact on the Utah retirement system. And so we need to take into account employee needs regarding that. So Dr. Perkins, any information you would like to share regarding the recommended calendars from the calendar committee?
Thank you. Pleasure to be here. Let me first start off with congratulations on this historic evening. Thank you for allowing us to attend and support. The biggest things that you will find with this calendar, calendaring, as you can tell from all of the input that we received, often conflicts with each other. And it's quite an event to try to plan out the schedule. The biggest thing that we would indicate here, number of school days is 180. That is a state statute that requires that. And then currently teacher contracts in ASD are 185. So we take into account professional development days before the school contract begins. Other than that, the biggest highlights that I would, with these calendars, 27, 28 is a pretty clean calendar. It makes sense. 28, 29, and 29, 30 are both challenging when you build calendars, you build them off of your holiday break. And with the placement, the day that Christmas falls in those 2 years, it would typically, at first glance, it would make more sense to do it Wednesday to Wednesday. We would discourage that as you're moving forward. That has not been popular with teachers, families, or anyone else in the community for that part, because they like the 3 weekends tied to the Christmas break. So that is why you see it is. The feedback is also typically they like to see that on the, they would like to have a larger run into Christmas, but it's challenging to manage. Everybody says they want more at the beginning before Christmas. But most recently, 2 years ago, we did it where we went back to school on the 9th of January, and it was wildly popular. So keep that in mind as well as you're looking at the calendars. I'm happy to entertain any questions. The other key points that I should probably mention is state statute and board rule allows for up to 4 days that are teacher work days that are designated for teachers without students. And those are very intentionally placed throughout the calendar based on things from the day after daylight savings to the week of parent-teacher conference and some of those things on those schedules on 28, 29, 29, 30. Those are intentionally placed the day prior to the holiday break so that, and what we've done in the past in Alpine School District was we would allow the supervisor to work with the employees and they could choose when during the break they were going to work their 8 hours. So that gives them a little bit of run into the holiday to do the things that they needed to do. So that would be something for your consideration as well. Any other questions that I can answer for you?
When the committees were put together, was the feedback separated by the areas? Like, do we know what was at West wanted? Was it pretty unanimous amongst all sides? What did you see?
Yes, we saw great, I don't know if it's parity, we saw similar results for all 3 districts. It is included, if you go to the link that is on the calendaring committee rationale, you can see the comprehensive calendar survey, and it is broken down by area, by the new districts. So you can see that feedback. The results were the same in all 3.
Thank you, Dr. Perkins. Do we have any other questions for Dr. Perkins?
Madam President, my only question is how locked in are we for this if we approve this tonight? I understand how important it is to have the professional learning communities, and I've worked in a Singleton, I know what that's like. But I know there are some tweaks that would be interesting to discuss at a future date, but I don't know if it's important to do it at this time. Like, how locked you're in with these dates? Are there ways that we could change a few things around but still keep the PLC, but not tonight?
We could choose to accept one of the calendars, 2 of the calendars, the calendar. It's been a norm that calendars are approved 2 years out. And so we could choose to approve just one, we could choose to approve 2, we could choose to approve all 3. Anybody, we could, a board member can make a motion regarding that. So does someone want to make a motion regarding this, or should we keep this a discussion item for this evening?
I'd like to move to approve the school calendars for the 27-28, 28-29, and the 29-30 school years.
So we have a motion by Board Member Lincoln. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Was that Board Member Strong? Okay, sorry, I'm just still making sure. Okay. So we have a motion by Board Member Lincoln and a second by Board Member Strong to approve the calendars for 27-28, 28-29, and 29-30. Any discussion? Just a second. Apparently there's a lot of people who want to chat. Okay, Matt.
I'd be fine adopting the 3-year rolling calendar as proposed. Can you explain what the process is like to say if we decide in year 1 or year 1.5 that we want to change that 3rd year out or the 2nd year?
So a calendar can be changed at any point. It's frowned upon because a lot of times we'll have, families who will book vacations, employees who will make commitments to national conferences or other things. we're always able to amend the calendars, and we have in the past based on, there was, I can't remember what it was, Dr. Perkins. We had some issue that came up recently where we had to amend a calendar. Do you remember what it was? Thank you. Kindergarten assessment. Thank you, teachers. Love it. The kindergarten assessment where the state changed it, and so we had to adjust the calendar accordingly. I'm like, I knew there was a reason why. And we did adjust that accordingly. So you can amend a calendar. Yes, it is done.
It's a odd situation because we have 3-year terms and 5-year terms. If I'm reading this right, we're adopting a calendar beyond the term of the current sitting board. Is that weird?
Well, some of the board members, because some of the board members' terms end in
Right.
28 and some end in 2030. Yes. We also adopted a contract for the city building that goes beyond any of our terms.
Touche.
Sorry. Okay. Board Member Judkins.
Yes, I just wanted to also bring up the ability to be able to amend. I'd had several teachers come to me this week asking, obviously with Thanksgiving on their mind, really wanting the entire week off. And I didn't know if that was something that we had the ability to make tweaks. And I love the smile, but like that's something I want to discuss and see if that's an option and what that would look like and how that would impact everybody.
Yes, definitely. Definitely a possibility. It's just where you add the 2 days. So whether that, because I know, I believe Jordan, they do a full fall break, like a week fall break. You can do that. One of the things to take into account is, as we try to start as late in August as possible, we sometimes have teachers who attend local universities to get additional professional development. And we also want to make sure that they're not still in school at UVU or Weber State or SUU getting a master's or additional professional development when they then have to be on contract days. So there is so some of the August thing also impacts the ability of our teachers to access professional. Okay. Dr. Perkins.
Yes, just a quick note. I believe current Alpine School District policy allows for the adoption of one future calendar at this current time. So if you were to look at adopting further, you would probably need to amend your policy.
Okay, good point. Board Member Sasser?
They asked the question I had.
So I guess the question is, do you want to amend the motion to accept 1 year and then go back and play with policy, or what are we doing?
I'd like to withdraw my motion, go back and write the policy, and then bring this back next.
So it sounds like we're withdrawing the motion that Board Member Lincoln is going to spend another night writing policy, and that because it's a discussion action item, we can move this to a future agenda. I'm getting agreement, I think. We're good with that? Okay, so we're gonna move on to the next thing. Okay, next up, we have need to employ a superintendent, which requires that we conduct a superintendent search. Do we have a motion to open the search for a superintendent for the Lake Mountain School District?
I make motion that we open the search for Lake Mountain School.
Second.
So we have a motion by Board Member Judkins and a second by Board Member Sasser. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor of opening the superintendent search, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That appears to pass unanimously. Next up, this can be a discussion or an action item as if we want to appoint a chair of the superintendent search committee. I will move that we appoint Board Member Sasser, chair of our superintendent search committee. Okay, so we have a motion by Board Member King and a second by Board Member Myers. The Julies are working together. Any discussion regarding this? We just need to get a superintendent. Let's get going. That's my comment. Board Member Myers? Okay. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of opening our superintendent search, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that appears to, wait a second. Wait, nope. I did the wrong thing. We were appointing the chair, not opening the superintendent search. Okay, I gotta go back. Okay, so we have a motion by Board Member King and a second by Board Member Myers to appoint Board Member Saucer as the chair of our superintendent search committee. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, next up, appointing of the chair of our naming committee. Okay, I'm gonna make sorry.
I move that we appoint a chair of our naming committee as Board Member Strong.
Okay, so we have a motion by Vice President Isaacson. Do we have a second?
I second.
And then we have a second by Board Member Judkins. Okay. Any discussion? Okay. Seeing none, we have a motion by Board Member Isaacson and a second by Board Member Judkins to appoint.
Can I interject before we move on?
Yeah.
Just so that in the public view, can you give us an overview of some of the discussion that or some of the preview of what's to come?
Board Member Isaacson. In thinking about this, a timeline would be to open it tonight and get us going. Our plans are to put out to the schools, all the parents, all the community, put it on Facebook and everything, starting next Monday after Thanksgiving, which is December 1, and keep the forum open for 2 weeks until December 12th at 5:00 p.m. And then having a committee made up of 3 of us and 4 parents who will get together, read all those comments, and come up with Lake Mountain, whether or not we keep Lake Mountain, and 3 other options to come to our meeting on December 15th and present it so that we can make a decision at that time.
Yeah. And to clarify, there's some urgency here. We need a name.
Yeah.
There's some legal considerations and some compressed timelines that kind of force this whole process to happen really quickly.
And I think we all agree it's really important to get input from whoever wants to give us input to name the district and consider all those different names as we move forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion by Vice President Isaacson and a second by Board Member Judkins to appoint Board Member Strong as the chair of the naming committee. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that appears to pass unanimously. The last thing on our agenda as a discussion action item is board assignments. Board Member Lincoln spent some time putting some ideas together. I'm going to defer to you. Are you interested in having discussion about this, or are we moving this kind of a work session? What was your preference?
My preference is to move this to work session.
Apparently, everyone's ready to be done with the meeting. Okay, so unless I see anything different from anyone else, I think we'll just roll this one to our work session that we're anticipating in December. And then we do have time allotted for community comments. We have 3 this evening. I'm going to share some information about public comment instructions. This was actually something that was passed in our policy previews in the meeting. Patrons who wish to address the board are asked to sign up prior to the meeting. This opportunity will be reserved for patrons living within the Lake Mountain School District boundary. Individuals living outside of Lake Mountain School District can submit written comments to the Board of Education. There's time on the agenda to allow for up to 30 minutes for public comment. 10 patrons will be given a maximum of 3 minutes each to address the board. And then written comments can be submitted through the Lake Mountain School District website, as well as through a link through Alpine School District. Speakers should introduce themselves by stating their name. The board does not engage in a discussion during public comments, but may arrange a follow-up time for you to speak with a staff member, which is us right now. Personnel issues are not appropriate discussion items for an open environment. If you have a personnel concern, we ask that you contact a member of the administration or put your concerns in writing and address it to the Board of Education. The Lake Mountain School District is a legislative body, and as such, it functions under the same operational rules as other similar bodies, such as the state legislature. Public input during its formal meetings is to assist the board in ascertaining public attitudes and interests. It is not a forum for open discussion or debate between the board and patrons. We have 3 individuals who have signed up to give public comment this evening. We're gonna, that clock is nice. Okay, thanks. Clock is up for the 3 minutes. First individual that we have signed up to comment is Laura Whitney. Second up is Monica Corey, and third is Becky Jones. Laura, we'd love to have you come to the podium.
Congratulations. Wow. When you first started this, I thought, why are you doing, you want to break up Alpine School District? And quite a feat. I can't believe it. One of my biggest concerns is with the busing is the state funds us by eligibility. And I, as a school bus driver, notice that there are students that are just this close to being eligible, but they can't. And so when I understand that when they divided up the routes, or told you how many routes we have, and who's eligible, and according to who's eligible and who's not, that really concerns me because I've driven in these areas, and I know that it's just the way that they have it set up for eligibility doesn't seem right or fair, and is very hurtful because of the people that live out here and they have to commute, and some of them are single families, and they can't get their kids to school. So you know where I'm going with this, right? So the second one is, I want to change the hubs on the wheels, hubs on the buses. I don't want them white anymore. I'm so angry with Orem and that white wheel. So can we change the color to something dark, like a dark purple or dark black or something else, that's really easy to maintain because they do get rusty. And the third one is I've gotten into some of the policies a little bit. And some of the policies don't address transportation, employees with transportation adequately. And we can talk about that later. And that's all I have to say is congratulations. It's a pleasure. I've got to meet some of you in some unusual situations, and that's great.
Thank you, Laura. Monica Corey. And then Becky Jones, you're next.
My name is Monica Corey. I'm here to talk about Cedar Valley Elementary facing possible closure. I just wanted to say first, welcome. It's exciting to see the new board here and seated all together. And I look forward to getting to know you all more as this new district grows and develops. Now, did you know if you took Cedar Valley Elementary and put it in a more rural district, it would already receive government funding? Most rural schools in Utah do. Ours is in a very unique circumstance that almost qualifies us already in a few different ways. With such a precarious decision facing us with serious long-term effects, I have come to ask you to carefully consider the possible closure of Cedar Valley Elementary. I encourage you to seek all of the facts and data on the situation, all of them from within and without the current study, including any information that has gotten discarded along the way. I speak for families from 3 different communities when I say, please work with us, not against us. A decision to close now would be very rushed. Let's create a large team to find positive solutions for everyone and make our new district strong. Let us help. We are working on gaining donations and are happy to continue our effort. Instead of the language in discussions as, how can we move forward with closing Cedar Valley Elementary down? It should be, how can we best keep the school open? In what ways can we move forward as a new district to support these rural communities alongside the urban ones? How can we nourish and keep alive a culture with such caring personal ties? I know most of the children at Cedar Valley Elementary and their families. That's just how things are. And more are welcome to join us, as many have already done this year. It is good. I urge you to take care not to hastily close down a school in under 90 days that's heritage has served its students and families for over 100 years. Let's pause the decision to close Cedar Valley Elementary at this time, while we work on community and legislative levels to get support and funding. Please work with us, not against us. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica. And then Becky Jones.
I wanted to thank you all for being willing to run and be our new school board. What a momentous occasion. I couldn't miss it. I've lived out here for 27 years and remember when Redwood Road was a two-way stop. And it's exciting. I had wanted more local representation, and so I'm very, very thankful. I'm also a teacher out at Eagle Valley Elementary, and as our population, no matter what decision is made, will increase by at least 200 students next year, the teachers are concerned. And as that decision is made, we definitely need some renovation to our teacher workroom. We have made it work for many years, but when you come out on your tours, definitely peek and see that could definitely be improved for us. Something else I wanted to mention, and I'm glad the thought about the calendar came up. In talking with teachers, many of us don't want it just to seem like Alpine School District 2.0. We would love to see some innovation, something different. Otherwise, we might as well have stayed together. So please be thoughtful in considering, of course, our community, but be willing to look outside the box and maybe get some innovative ideas, if it's calendar, if it's switching up some of our policies a little bit differently. But I encourage you to think outside the box and be willing to open up your minds to some new ideas. But mostly, thank you for being willing to serve.
Thank you, Becky. Okay, we do have need of a closed session this evening, and we are required to do a roll call. Reasons we could go into a closed session, personnel, property, litigation. I'm going to do a roll call vote. Actually, first, do we have a motion to move into a closed session? I didn't make the motion, no.
I move to adjourn into a closed session to discuss personnel, property, and litigation.
So we have a motion by Board Member Lincoln. Do we have a second? I second. So second by Board Member Strong. And then we're going to do a roll call vote. So please say aye if you support, nay if you're opposed. Board Member Isaacson.
Aye.
Board Member Judkins.
Aye.
Board Member King. Aye.
Board Member Lincoln. Aye.
I turned myself off before I said aye. Aye.
Board Member Myers.
Aye.
Board Member Strong. Saucer.
Aye.
Board Member Strong.
Aye.
Okay, the meeting is adjourned and we are moving into closed session. Thank you all for being here. We appreciate your attendance.